In this video, we are going to apply our elastics. We're going to start with the bottom band elastic, and then we are going to do top band elastic. So first thing that we're going to do here, so I have, again, this is my classic bra, and I'm going to find obviously the center point here. So on this one, there's a bit of a V that you can see here, and I'm going to mark that. From here, I'm going to look to see where my band starts to curve out again. So on some bras, it's pretty obvious. You'll see like a really big curve and then it'll kind of start to flatten out. On this one, there's not as much of an obvious spot. So I'm just gonna kind of find the bottom of my cup and where my cup starts to curve up again. And this doesn't have to be exact. So I'm just gonna eyeball it, and I'm gonna go here and then again on the other side here. So if they're not in exactly the same spot, it's fine. If you want to be precise, you could fold the bra in half and then mark those. So once we have those marked, we're going to go ahead and clip. So this part might make you a little bit nervous because we're going to clip in a few spots, but as you can see here, this is a point, and on some it's more of a rounded. But we're going to want to get this as flat as we can so that when we apply our bottom band elastic, it's a little bit easier for us. So I'll start my clip here, and I want to clip about 3/8 of an inch. Okay. Don't go too clip happy. And I'm just clipping about maybe every 1/2 inch or so, every centimeter. Okay, so once I have it all clipped, you'll see that I'm able to kind of pull my bottom band flat here. So this is how it naturally sits. It's in a bit more of a curve, and now I'm pulling it and getting it more flat. So from here, we're going to apply the bottom band elastic. So the bottom band, when you have a kit, is going to be the larger of the two picots that you've been provided with. So I have two here, so there's this guy and then this one, and you'll see here that one of them is larger than the other. So that one's going to be my bottom band elastic. So again, that was something that changes a little bit based on kit size. Usually this is a little bit thicker and maybe a little bit firmer for a larger bra. So to apply my elastic here, we're going to stitch it onto the right side of our bra. And this might seem a little bit counterintuitive at first, but what's going to end up happening is that it will flip. So let me get the other end of my elastic here. So I'm going to sew it with the plush side up, because in the end this is going to end up flipping, and I'll want that plush side against my skin. So plush side up and picots up. Okay, so in bra making, we never stitch the same elastic twice. So we are going to do our first pass on here. So what I mean to say is we never stitch the same side of the elastic twice. So I'm going to stitch once here, and then we're going to be flipping and stitching again. Okay, so lining up the bottom of the elastic with the bottom of the bra, and then I'm going to come over to my machine and I'm going to try and stitch as close to these picots as I can. I have my machine set up here, and as I mentioned in other videos, we don't need anything special in the machine department. We have the SUV 1122 from Janome here. So like I said, this is a relatively low level machine, but it has everything that we will need to do our bras. So for this first pass here on the elastic, I'm going to go into a zigzag. So on this machine, that's a C. My length is going to be between 2 and 3 if you have a turn dial machine. If you have a machine where you can actually set the length, you're going to set it to 2.5. And then on the width, I'm going to go with 3, which again would be a 3 millimeter on machines that you can set. So I'm ready to start sewing here, and what I've done is I've gone ahead and pinned my bottom band elastic in here. So again, that was plush side up and picots facing in towards the top of the bra. The next thing that I've done is I have lined up my elastic here with the first notch of where I started cutting, and I've put a little line there. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to move about an inch over and apply a little bit of tension to my elastic. Okay, so starting to sew, I want to try and get as close to those picots as I can without being into the picots. So I like to set my needle as far over to the left as it goes, and then we're close to it without it actually coming all the way down. Then from here, I will go ahead and start sewing. Okay, so again, we're going to be applying tension here to the elastic, so I'm going to be pulling it back about an inch. You can't see that part because it's off screen. I'm going to go ahead, start stitching. In bra making, we don't really do a lot of back stitching because this piece will end up enclosed later, but if you like to back stitch or you do it out of habit like I do, you can go ahead and just do a quick back stitch there. Take that pin out, and then we are going to stretch as we sew. I've stitched up to the point of my first cut, so that's just right under the needle there. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to do another marking. So along this section here where I've done my trimmings, I'm going to line up my elastic and I'm going to come back, you'll see here, to where I have ended my cutting. Again, we're going to throw another mark in on that washout marker, and this is one of those reasons why I like those washout markers. I find them really easy for markings. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and mark, and then again I'm going to pull this about an inch, but because it's a smaller section, that will apply a bit more tension than we did before. So with this, if you have a more firm bottom band elastic, you might not want to go as far. You might be finding that it's really struggling to pull. This one is a lighter weight, so I could maybe even pull a little bit farther, but it's kind of up to you, and it's up to the kind of elastic that you have. Unfortunately, these are not all created equal. A lot of them vary from manufacturer to manufacturer. Also, if you are a larger size and it's a bit thicker, you might not have as much stretch. So just want to preface it with that, but I'm going to come back maybe about an inch and a half, and then same thing, we're going to go ahead and stitch here. So this part can be a little bit tricky because we have these little fringy bits, and we want to make sure that we keep them flat, and also that we keep our bottom elastic aligned with the bottom of the bra. Hey, also a quick note, I'm holding this, but if you wanted to, you could also throw a pin in it, so I'll do that just for our purposes today. If that makes you feel a little bit more comfortable, you can absolutely do that. Okay, so try to keep it as close as you can to the fringe. Do a little bit better job than I am. It's a bit hard to sew with a tripod next to you, but when you are at home, you will not have that problem. So again, going to stop when I get to that point. I'm going to leave my needle down, and then you can probably guess what's going to happen next. So I'm going to go ahead and take my elastic here, mark it to the back of the bra here. Again, this time I'm going to come in an inch this way so that I'm not pulling elastic off of my bra. And then I'm going to align the mark that I just made here with the edge. So I marked in, again, about an inch. And again, this may vary. You may only want to do a ½ inch. You may want to do more than that. And I'm going to pull to there. And again, you can throw a pin in that if you like, or you can go ahead and just hold it like I am. All right, when we get to that edge, again, you can backstitch if you want, but you don't have to. And then we'll lift up and take it out. Okay, so now we have bottom band elastic, and we've done what we call our first pass. What we're going to do here now is we are going to trim this excess. So I'm going to get out those duckbill scissors again, and I'm going to come along here and I'm going to trim. So I like to flip to the wrong side of the fabric so that I then have my elastic here. I'm going to come in with those duckbill scissors, or if you just have regular applique scissors, that works too. Okay, and then I'm just going to go ahead and trim along here. Okay, when you've gone all the way, now you're ready to do your second pass of your bottom band elastic. Just before I finish trimming off all of these edges here, so these are those cuts that I made at the beginning, and you may have felt a little bit nervous about doing those 3/8 of an inch cut, but as you'll see here, my cuts are above that stitch line. Okay, so as long as you didn't go too snip happy, you should be completely fine here. And not cut in too much. So at the center here, it's getting a little close. I probably could have pulled that closer towards the band, but as you'll see, even though we clipped it, we still have an intact bottom band on our bra. We finished the first pass here on the bottom band, and now we're going to repeat this process on the top band elastic. So this step is going to be a little bit different for you if you don't have an attached strap here. So if you remember that Elan pattern that I was working with before, the black one, it does not have a fabric strap. You just get a loop there. So the application will be a little bit different because obviously you won't be applying it to the strap, but it's essentially the same idea. So this time I'm going to be applying, so again, same idea, that plush side of the picot is up, and I'm going to line up my edges along here. This time, so we're going to hold the elastic steady along the strap. We're going to stretch when we get into this underarm period, and then we're going to do a slight stretch on the back band, but most of our stretch is going to happen on this underarm period because that's another area that you may have some difficulty with it gapping out to the side. The other thing that you can do here is you can apply some stay tape. So especially if you are a larger size, it might be a good idea to go ahead and apply some stay tape in here before you do your elastic. So we'll start with this edge, and again, if you'd like to throw a pin in it before you go ahead and get started, you are more than welcome to. So again, we are trying to line up that edge of our elastic with now the edge of our strap and the upper part of our bra. Okay, so again, we are going to zigzag, and we are going to try and get as close to those picots as we can. So just checking to make sure that my zigzag is all the way over, and then I'm going to go ahead and start stitching here. So as I mentioned, we are not going to be stretching at all for this first little bit. And again, just trying to stay out of those actual picots. While also trying to stay lined up with the edge. There's a lot going on here when you're doing this one, so go slow. So I'm now at the spot where my strap joins, and I'm going to stop here. So again, we're going to do that little mark. So I'm going to look at this whole underarm area here to the edge of my cup. I'm going to do a marking here. So two options. You can either mark here and then stretch it past an inch, or you can mark back about an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch. Again, it's going to depend on your elastic. And then from there, I'm going to go ahead and stretch. Okay, when you get to the part where your channeling is, you're going to want to press your channeling to this side, okay, so away from the center of the bra, and you'll see why a little bit later. Okay, when I get to that edge of the cup, I'm going to again stop with my needle down. From here to the end, I'm going to again do a little mark. This time we're going to go 1/2 inch. Okay, and then I'm just going to stretch from there, and this is again just to apply a little bit of tension to our bra band so that it is snug around our body, since that's where most of our support is coming from. Okay, so I'm all done here. So I have my first pass of the upper band elastic applied. So go ahead and do that on the other arm, just the exact same thing. So along the strap under the underarm, and then we are going to move on to our channeling. So you'll notice I'm just doing my first pass for now. We'll do our second pass a little bit later, because our next step is going to be applying our channeling here, and if we do our second pass right now, we're going to have a very hard time applying our channeling.